Christian, at last you've had a match. And now you're dead. Ask me about one thing I did not expect to see during this week's Monday Night Raw, and I will tell you all about an unsanctioned match. Officially, it was a match between Randall Keith Orton and Christian. That also involved, by the way, a sort of Evolution reunion, and on top of that, an actual murder. Rest in peace, Christian. And I don't know about you at home, but I really enjoyed the frantic nature of this week's Monday Night Raw. It was absolutely wild, so it was, and that is always a lot better than Raw when it is boring. At least there was stuff happening. We'll take that and head for the hills as we take a look at all the WTF moments from last night's Monday Night Raw. Hit the intro, friend. WTF! Now we've all heard the stories from Diamond Dallas Page, haven't we? How numerous people told him he was starting his professional wrestling journey way too late when he was getting into the ring, not being a manager, getting into the ring in his mid-30s. And looking at those WWE PC trainees right there, I reckon DDP himself would think those lads there are taking the DD piss. And obviously I am taking the piss because, of course, during this week's Raw, WWE allowed friends and family of the superstars on the Raw brand, as well as PC trainees, to be in the crowd. But imagine tuning into this week's Raw and not knowing that news and seeing those lads there. Wow, what you must have been thinking. And then we hear Samoa Joe calling Nia Jax the largest female superstar in WWE history, and one thought popped into my demented tête, which is French for head. And that thing was justice for Aloisa. Aye. Yeah, she might have been fired from the old NXT game show a long time ago for some pretty naughty things, but that lady was mahoosive, more mahoosive than Nia Jax, so therefore, justice for her. And then we hear Randy Orton speaking to Edge. Edge, of course, wasn't at this week's Raw because of WWE Backlash. During the greatest professional wrestling match ever, Edge hurt his arm. So Randy was on this week's Raw saying, Edge, I know why you're not here. You're in a godforsaken hospital, having the doctors tirelessly trying to reattach your arm muscle to your arm bone. And while Randy Orton was saying that, I was looking at Twitter, because more often than not, a Randy Orton promo is really pissing boring. Not this one, but mostly. But while I was looking at Twitter, I saw this. Look at the arm strength Edge is showing there. Wow. And I know Orton versus Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever was recorded a long while ago. So who knows, when Randy Orton was cutting that promo on this week's Raw, maybe Edge was in the hospital. But that's what I saw on Twitter when Randy was saying that. And it's just lovely when timelines don't quite match up, isn't it? And then we have Angel Garza, who in the midst of being sexy and saucy, told Charlie Caruso, hey Charlie, you should come down to the ring after I defeat Andrade. Even though Angel Garza was going on to face Kevin Owens. Is this because Angel Garza is completely obsessed with the thought of Andrade and cannot get that bloke out of his head? Or was this just a slip of the tongue? Let me know what you think down there. And then we have a direct quote from MVP when he was shouting right in the face of poor old Sarah Schreiber when he said, excuse you, does this look like we're talking on the record? This is a private conversation. Now this is just the way WWE does their on-screen business, and I should have, having watched every single second of the main roster for the past 5 years doing this crappy video series. I should have come to terms with it by now, but I haven't. It does my lovely wholesome titties in, so it does. MVP is saying that, oh, it's a private conversation, when there's a massive camera right in his face, recording every word he says, broadcasting his private words all around the pissing world, man. I just hate the way WWE superstars are told to pretend the cameras filming them don't exist. Cast your minds back to that segment where Mandy was being all seductive and all that malarkey in a hotel room on SmackDown Live a long time ago. It's just bollocks, man. It doesn't work. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be too familiar with the word itself or the memes that are a result of the word, but the internet has told me that the meme machine swept through Monday Night Raw as MVP looked Lana right in the eyes and called her a thought. And if you don't know, a thought is a woman who has many casual sexual encounters or relationships. And the weird thing is, everybody, within the realms of kayfabe, of course, and with what WWE have had Lana do down the years, MVP is absolutely correct. From my bay and spirit animal Rusev, oh my god, I miss him so, to Dolph Ziggler, to Bobby Lashley, to even that one night stand Lana had with The Rock. Yes, that is a thing that happened a few short years ago. Lana kind of is a thought, isn't she? Within kayfabe, what a shame. I just missed the days when the ravishing Russian would cut good promos and tell Rusev to cross things. It was good stuff. Why did that have to come to an end? Poor old Lana, eh? I want a divorce, Bobby Lashley said in a really boring fashion. But then a WTF moment happened as the Performance Center trainees and the friends and family of the WWE Raw superstars started chanting Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. Even WWE contracted superstars and presumably supportive friends and family members think the stuff that happens inside the ring on Monday Night Raw is absolutely crap. That's what I took from those Jerry Jerry chants. What? I've seen this malarkey happen twice now on my television screen and I still do not know what this malarkey is all about. What is going on with Akira Tozawa's wandering finger? And I still don't know why Akira Tozawa hasn't debuted his brand new catchphrase, of course, that being, I'm gonna finger bang you every night. Not with those gestures, let's move on. And was anybody else watching the Street Profits do their entrance during this week's Raw and asking themselves, what the hell's the point in those barriers then? As we all saw, the Street Profits broke the rules. They went into the crowd who was supposed to be segregated from them, you know, in the midst of this whole pandemic thing. The Street Profits then shared the ring with the Viking Raiders, with Akira Tozawa, with the Ninjas. They all went backstage and then boom, the world exploded, presumably. But still, this provided us with a lovely, wholesome WTF moment, and that is the actions of one Eric Bugenhagen. Why is that man not a thing, let alone on NXT TV? He should be on the main roster. He's really bloody good. And then we have a direct quote from one Tom Phillips who said, look at the left-hand side of your screen there. Is that the big ninja? He said it way more goofy than me, believe me. And when I heard Tom Phillips say, is that the big ninja? I wanted to do one thing, and that was push my fingers into my ears. And now I know we know nothing about the ninjas, and I know the ninjas and Akira Tozawa are supposedly, I think, this is the impression I'm getting, a comedy gimmick. They're not supposed to be taken as a serious threat, but surely WWE, the creative team, headed up by Brucey P, right on the mic, 1, 2, 3, he's an MIC. What the hell am I saying? I do not know. Surely we're better than the big ninja. I cringed, didn't I? Know about cringing because I am a human cringe. But then we have Tom Phillips asking Samoa Joe, how do you handle yourself in a ninja fight? And if you know, you know. But also Samoa Joe giving an answer to Tom Phillips' question gave us a WTF moment, because judging by what happened to Samoa Joe when he came face to face with some ninjas and a white van, I'm surprised he had an answer, because he got taken away and abducted. He did, though, it's real. And then the star of Netflix's The Big Show The Big Show appeared. And in that moment, it was clear that when it comes to anything to do with the Street Profits or the Viking Raiders or Akira Tozawa and his ninjas, The Family Guy manatees are writing the storylines. Let's take a trip into the creative meetings now. So it looks like Akira Tozawa and the Big Ninja are gonna put some hurt on the Viking Raider Profit thingy malarkeys. How do they get out of this scenario? Let's see what the manatees do when they take their trip across the tank to the millions and millions of idea balls. You know the idea balls, don't they? They are balls that have either verbs or nouns or pop culture or wrestling references on them. And the manatees went across the tank and they picked up the one that said the Big Show. So the Viking Profit thingies, they got out of that scenario by the Big Show saving them, and I have no idea what to say about that. And then we saw that scene there, and it's clear that even WWE themselves know how crap WWE 2K20 is, so let's celebrate 2K19 instead. Now it might just be because I'm 27 years old. If you're younger, this not might have been a WTF moment for you, but it was just weird to me that that little boy there was beating up Seth Rollins and doing some serious parkour to evade the disciples on this week's Raw. That was a weird thing for me to get my thick head around. I mean, I guess we kind of knew that Dom could do some things after what he did at Survivor Series 2019 alongside his father, Ronald Mysterious, and then when he took that beating from Brock Lesnar on Raw, I guess we did know he could do some things. But bloody hell, during this week's Raw, he proved beyond any shadow of any doubt he is going to be good at the professional wrestling. I know, the son of Rey Mysterio being good at professional wrestling, the shock and horror of it all, but I don't know about you, I cannot wait for Dominik Mysterio's in-ring debut. Wow. What a performance! And I just hope that Ronald Mysterious is the man who manages Dominik Mysterio when he gets into the ring, and Ronald Mysterio's new WWE catchphrase is, "Don't get done, get Dom." And here comes the Dom Booyaka! Good stuff. Now imagine being Natalya and criticising other wrestlers for rookie mistakes. Now that is a critique very much made within the realms of kayfabe, because we all know Natalya is a fantastic wrestler. She's a mentor. She's a mother hen. When you want a member of the women's roster to look better than they actually are, you call Natalya because she is really, really good. But in kayfabe, she loses all the time. Yeah. So that little promo there from Shelty B was recorded earlier in the day. And during that promo, he was telling Apollo Crews that, Apollo, you need to take MVP's advice and have MVP as your manager. But we saw MVP telling Apollo Crews that MVP needs to be his manager a few minutes before they went out to the ring. And that Shelton Benjamin promo was earlier in the day. So I'm asking, how can Shelton Benjamin tell the future? What? I guess that face there from Shelton Benjamin from last summer, of course, now makes sense, because that was really confusing. How does that work? And then we saw the IIconics challenging the Boss and Not Hug Connection to a tag team championship match on next week's Raw, and not once did they mention that match there. So I guess there's no point in watching a particular segment on this week's NXT. Spoilers, by the way. I reckon the Boss and Not Hug Connection might beat Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox. A huge spoiler that I guess you knew anyway, but still. Between you and me, we here on that little thing there, and this whole bollocks is bothering me more than it normally does. There's a camera showing your words off to the entire world, Tricky Dicky. WWE, please just change your ways. Why is this just bothering me now? And then we hear the Big Show say to the Viking Raiders, for the love of Beethoven, no more carpool karaoke, guys. Stop it. And it was in this moment I had an epiphany. Fellow viewers of Netflix's hit show, The Big Show will know that that's the sort of crappy line that belongs on The Big Show. Therefore, the writers, the script writers at least, of The Big Show also have a hand in writing WWE Raw. No wonder things are so bad, because fellow viewers of The Big Show will know The Big Show is the worst show ever. That graphic there, That's the WTF moment. This is weird. So at WrestleMania 36, of course, we saw a singles match for a set of tag team titles, and now on this week's Raw, we saw a tag team match for a singles title. I mean, I guess it's only fair to even the odds in each belt's favour, but still it makes no sense. WTF moment. And then we hear Samoa Joe's voice over that thing there when Samoa Joe says, tonight immediately following WWE Raw only on the WWF. Huh? What did you say, Joe? Of course, he was only saying the word up, but in Samoa Joe's accent, the word up sort of sounds like F. So that's a WTF moment for me, and don't you dare tell me the first time you heard Samoa Joe say that line there, you didn't think he said WWF as well. Because I know you, I was there in the room when you were watching WWE Raw. I am everywhere you go, I am everywhere you breathe, I am everywhere you sleep. I was over your little shoulder there when you were watching this week's Raw. I have eyes and ears everywhere. I stalk you. Now after seeing everything Nia Jax has done over recent times to a Kabuki warrior, who the hell booked Nia Jax to powerbomb a fellow Kabuki warrior called Asuka right on the floor? Now, of course, Nia Jax is a professional wrestler. We should know this. Mistakes happen in the professional wrestling, but a lot of mistakes happen when Nia Jax does the professional wrestling. So this seemed a bit too risky for me. And I've just worked this out because, of course, many moons ago, Tiny Temper asked us, would we risk it for a chocolate biscuit? And would I risk taking a powerbomb from Nia Jax right to the floor for a chocolate biscuit? No, I wouldn't. But then Nia Jax got screwed. Asuka's foot was under the rope. Nia Jax gets a bit frustrated. She pushes referee John Cone to the mat. John Cone's like, no, you've gone a bit too far there, Nia Jax. I'm going to disqualify you. But during that walk from the centre of the ring to the corner, he changed his mind. He turned around. Asuka rolled at Nia Jax. John Cone did a quick 3 count. I know that was more than 3. I've had one too many energy jinx. Drinks. And then Nia Jax was screwed. And I felt sorry for Nia Jax. And that is weird and a WTF moment because she's a heel. I mean, as we all know, referee's discretion is a thing in the professional wrestling, but John Cone, you took the piss there, my friend. And then we went to that main event thing, which I discussed at the start of the video. Randy Orton realigning sort of with Ric Flair. Evolution is a mystery, huh? Ric Flair hoofs the defiant Christian in the nards. Randy Orton then murders Christian with a punt to the head. The punt, it would seem, is now back full time in WWE. Who would have thought it, eh? And then Randy Orton takes us off the air saying more sadistic things to Christian. Ooh, Randy Orton being one of the, if not the most compelling thing on WWE TV as we're sat here in May, June, July, the summer of 2020. Who would have thought it, eh? And on that note, let's end this video. It's gone on long enough. See you next time.